Hello and welcome. So, probably the biggest problem with the iPod Classic 7th Gen is that it can be an absolute pain to get open. As you can see, the front plate's made out of metal and the back plate's made out of metal as well. And both of those are just held together with some clips, and it can be quite difficult to release those clips without, bending the back or causing a bit of damage to the iPod. Of course, it is possible, especially with practice. It gets a lot easier the more you do it. Yeah, these days I'm able to get it off pretty quickly without doing any damage whatsoever, as you'll see in this video, but a lot of people just don't really like the fact that it is that much of a process just to get it off. So, today in this video, I'll be showing you how to install an iPod Classic 5th Gen front plate onto your iPod Classic 7th Gen, and it'll just make it a whole lot easier if you ever have to open this thing up again in the future, because as you know, the 5th Gen front plate is made out of plastic. It also comes in clear as well, which a lot of people prefer to the metal front plate. So yeah, today we'll be installing one of those clear 5th Gen face plates onto this iPod Classic 7th Gen. And we will also be adding Bluetooth, 1TB of storage, a 3000 mAh battery, and a Taptic engine. So this iPod's going to be pretty decked out. And this iPod build was also for another content creator named Rainy Keyboard. So if you want to see more videos on it, you can check out her page as well. So yeah, as you can see, I opened up this iPod Classic fairly easily here, just using a box cutter blade. Didn't take that long, was able to get it done in like less than 2 minutes. Usually I put some sort of covering over the front plate there, but that wasn't necessary on this model because the whole thing was completely scratched up anyways, so... Yeah, and as you can see, when I popped it off there, the hard drive had sort of stuck to the back plate a little bit and made it kind of difficult to remove. The battery connector sort of pulled out by itself as well, which can happen sometimes. It's not the first time that that's happened to me while busting one of these things open. So yeah, just removing the hard drive, removing the battery, and removing the headphone jack flex cable here. And now we can put that back plate off to the side and we will get started on this front plate, which is, there's not that much special that you actually have to do here when installing a 5th Gen front plate in a 7th Gen. All the screw holes and all that type of stuff are in the exact same position, so you're not going to have to modify anything really. So after you've got your front and back plate separated, just grab your front half, and now what we're going to want to do is undo all those 6 screws going up and down the sides, just 3 on each sides there. And after you've undone all those, you're going to have to disconnect the LCD flex cable to pop the logic board part out of the front plate. So yeah, now we got to remove this logic board here, because we will be replacing the click wheel as well. I guess if you weren't replacing the click wheel, you wouldn't have to worry about anything here. As you can see, that foam pad for the center button, it sort of shifted out a little bit as well, which can happen and can prevent the button from clicking properly. Yeah, now just to remove these 2 screws here that's holding in the logic board, and only the 6th and 7th Gen has these 2 screws as well. The 5th Gen doesn't have these 2 screws in that particular area. And now we can just pop this logic board off of the metal mid plate. Sometimes it's a good idea to give it a spray with isopropyl alcohol as well, because it is also held on with a bit of adhesive, and the alcohol can just weaken the adhesive, so you don't flex the logic board as much when trying to push it off, because it can be adhered on there quite firmly sometimes. Yeah, but anyways, let's just quickly switch out our click wheel here. And if you're wondering, the 5th Gen and the 6th and 7th Gen click wheels, they are different parts. They're not interchangeable. If you were to install a 5th Gen one in a 6th or 7th Gen, it's just not going to work. So yeah, keep that in mind. But also they are different thicknesses as well, which will affect this mod in particular. So we're going to have to install some extra thickness behind the metal domes on the buttons to actually get this click wheel to sit in there properly. Otherwise the click wheel will just sink all the way down and it'll like wiggle around in there and stuff, and it won't sit flush. So that's pretty much the only thing we have to worry about here when installing our 6th or 7th Gen logic board and click wheel with our 5th Gen front plate. So yeah, here's the thickness difference. As you can see, the 6th and 7th Gen one, it's about 1mm thick, whereas, did I measure the other one? Here we go. Whereas our 5th Gen click wheel measures in at about 1.7mm thick. So yeah, to remove the old click wheel, just undo that connector and then just maybe using your tweezers or something to sort of peel it up. I like to give the old adhesive a bit of a clean there, just so there's no residue getting in the way. Now we can put our new click wheel in, and most of the new click wheels will come with a little bit of tape that's already in that area as well. So yeah, now we can put that in, stick it down, and close the connector back. Yeah, but before we fold it over, I will add some extra thickness to these domes now. So the way I'm going to do that is just by using some double-sided tape here and not peeling off the top part. First, what I've done is I've just put some Captain tape over all of the domes as well. And the reason I did that is just in case the material that I place on top of this doesn't short anything out pretty much. It shouldn't, but as you can see, the corners of those buttons were sort of exposed before. So if anything conductive were to bridge those two areas on the little dome bit there, that could close our button connection and cause random clicks. So that's why I just put down some layers of Captain tape first. Yeah, and then I just cut out some little squares of double-sided tape and put them over these 4 areas. And the reason I went with this double-sided adhesive to do that is because the one I have is somewhat thick. You want to use something that's a bit thick, but not something that's too thick. If you use something that's too thick, of course this isn't going to work. So yeah, this double-sided tape that I've used here is this thick 3M stuff, and we won't peel off the top layer. We'll just leave it like this. So you could use anything to thicken this, really. You could use just a bunch of layers of Captain tape. You could probably, yeah, use like 10 layers of Captain tape and you'll achieve the same effect. Or you could use little bits of plastic. It just has to be the right thickness. So yeah, it's not very thick. It's not even a millimeter of thickness difference when we measured it before. As you could see, it was like 0.7 of a millimeter thicker. So you could just use something that's not going to fall apart, obviously. Like maybe you could use like a thick sort of bit of paper, a thick anything, you know, like my double-sided tape has worked, but if you don't have that same double-sided tape that I have, just whatever you've got lying around, just make sure it's not too thick or not too thin. But yeah, I'll have links to what I used specifically here down in the description if you wanted to just do it the exact same way as what I've done, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Alright, but now let's get everything back together here. So yeah, just screwing your logic board back into the mid frame there. And now we're going to take our clear front plate for the 5th gen. And I'm going to install my LCD in this now. Another thing to note is that the 5th gen and the 6th and 7th gen LCDs are of different thicknesses. So as you can see, the 6th and 7th gen one is a bit slimmer. And at first I thought we were going to run into some issues with that. I thought that the 6th and 7th gen LCD might like wobble around in there and possibly, you know, lift up and have dust falling in between it and stuff, but that didn't actually end up happening because pretty sure the foam on these aftermarket front plates here is a bit thicker than it was from the factory. So the foam seems to keep this new LCD in place quite well. So we didn't have to do any modifications to the frame or anything like that. Now peeling the protective layer off the LCD and putting this in place here. And we did get some bits of dust and stuff underneath, so I did spend a bit of time cleaning it out, but it's all good now. And now let's get our logic board into place and lined up. And now before you screw it in entirely, this is a good time to test how the click feels on all your buttons. So yeah, if things aren't clicking right, or if it just the click feels bad, you can now open it up again at this point and just readjust whatever you've added for your extra thickness. I mean, if the buttons are wobbling around too much, you might have to add some more. Or if the buttons aren't clicking properly, or if they don't feel like they're clicking at all, you may have added too much. And when you've gone to seal it back up, all the buttons have just clicked themselves in and now it just doesn't click. So yeah, just whatever you have to do here to get it clicking properly. And yeah, it might actually be pretty difficult to make the click feel as nice as what it was, like out of the box or something. Another way you can do this is you can actually just get a 5th gen click wheel, use the plastic part, but then use the flex cable of the 6th and 7th gen click wheel. And I hadn't opted to do that here because the purple variant of the 6th and 7th gen click wheel is a slightly different color to the 5th gen one. It's like a lighter purple, and I thought that matched this build a little bit better, so I wanted to stick with that one. But if you're using something like a clear click wheel or just any other color, maybe black or something like that, what you could do is you could just grab the plastic part off of a 5th gen click wheel and then yeah, grab the flex cable off of the 6th or 7th gen click wheel and just stick those two together, and then you wouldn't have to do any mucking around with adding extra thickness to the pads or anything like that. But yeah, that might cost you a bit extra if you wanted to go that route as well, just keep that in mind. But I think there are some sellers on AliExpress who will just sell the plastic click wheel part without the flex cable, and I've seen seen those going for like $3 or something like that. So that might be a good route to go as well. You just have to be very careful when removing the flex cable off of the old click wheel and transplanting it to the new one, just to not rip anything or anything like that. Yeah, so now we've got this whole front half back together at this stage. Might be easier to tell how good the click feels once you've actually got it screwed in as well. So yeah, just putting your screws back in now, giving everything a bit of a click, and once you're satisfied with it, we can just start reassembling the iPod, I guess. So yeah, in this build we'll also be adding Bluetooth. So I've got this custom purple backplate here, which I have installed Bluetooth in. Yeah, I didn't show the process of me actually adding Bluetooth in this video, but if you are interested in how to add Bluetooth to an iPod Classic, I do have plenty of other tutorials up on my channel, and I also sell this Bluetooth upgrade kit as well if you're interested in that. So yeah, you could check those out if you want. Oh yeah, and I also added a Taptic engine in this one as well. And as for our storage, obviously we've got the iFlash quad here with 4 256GB micro SD cards to give us 1TB. And I was kind of disappointed on this. As you can see in the light here, one of the SD cards, I think it's the top one that I installed the first time, it has a crack in it. You can see the way the light reflects in it at the start of the clip here. There was a massive crack going through it. So that card didn't end up working, which was quite a shame. Although luckily it was only a 256GB card opposed to a higher capacity one. Yeah, you can see there, it's just a massive crack going through it. Yeah, so I put in some other SD cards and everything seemed to work. And I plugged it into the computer, restored it with iTunes. Now we can give it a little bit of a test here. And yeah, now just sealing this thing back up. And now we can give it a final test yet again. Once we've paired our Bluetooth to earphones and all that stuff. Do a range test. Test like literally everything. Just see that it all works. And yeah, as you can see here, now we've got our 5th gen front plate installed in our 6th and 7th gen. And yeah, now this iPod will be way easier to open up if you ever need to get in and do anything else to it again. And also, it's got a clear front plate as well, which, yeah, a lot of people find that to be a cooler look than the stock 6th and 7th gen front plate. I'm actually quite a fan of the clear front plates as well. Looks pretty nice. Alright, so this iPod is now done and it's ready to be sent out. Yeah, so this build here was actually for another content creator who goes by the name of Rainy Keyboard on TikTok, Instagram and YouTube. So I'll be sending this iPod out to her. Well, I've already sent it at this stage. I'm commentating over this a few weeks after. But yeah, if you want to see more videos of this iPod, go check out her page. Oh yeah, and also, if you were wondering if the opposite is true, if you could install a 5th gen logic board with a 6th gen front plate and click wheel, you actually can do that as well. And I have done that previously, and here is that specific iPod. So as you can see here, we've got a black and gold iPod Classic 5th gen with the 6th gen front plate. Yeah, in this one I just installed the 5th gen click wheel as well. I hadn't switched it out for a different 6th or 7th gen click wheel. And as you can see, it sort of protrudes above the front plate a little bit there, which it doesn't actually look too bad. It looks like quite a lot on this video because I'm showing it up close, but in person, it's not that noticeable. Yes, this is my first iPod Classic 6th gen build. Oh, actually, I remember this one being a little bit more tricky. I did have to modify the frame a little bit and stuff. And then because the 5th gen LCD is a bit thicker, what ended up happening when I went to seal it back up was that the battery was pushing up on the LCD, causing a bit of a black spot as well. So if you were to go that route, instead of using the stock battery, I'd use a 3000 milliamp hour one, just like what we've done in this build here. But another interesting thing that I did on that classic 5th gen build with the 6th gen front plate was I attached the LCD to the front plate using UV Loca glue, which is the same glue that's used on smartphones to adhere the glass to the actual screen. And what that does is it gets rid of that little air gap between the glass and the screen, or in this case the plastic. And what that does is it makes the image appear right on top of the glass. So yeah, pretty much every phone these days uses UV Loca glue to adhere the front glass and the LCD or OLED screen even. But yeah, back in the day, that was not always the case. I don't know if you can really tell the difference on camera here. Just makes it look like what's being displayed on the display is happening on the very top instead of underneath, if that makes sense. Which I know it's an iPod, it doesn't really matter, and it's going to make it way more inconvenient if I ever have to open it up and change parts again, but I just wanted to give that a go and see what that would look like, and it actually came out pretty well. Yeah, but anyways, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you next time, and bye.